before everything, I would like to thank to Cuckoo Workout. Otherwise, I was wondering, how am I going to deliver this speech? Because everybody ran out of energy. Your patience is at the end. Before I start, I would like to thank the organizing committee and the chair of organizing committee, Mr. Jorma Vitkala, for inviting me here. But more than that, just carrying on over the years, 27 years, sustain this good platform for the glass science and technology. Thank you very much. Second thanks to go to Glasstone to support this kind of activity over the years and do it with very good passion and very good support financially. Otherwise, it won't happen. Everything is a little bit finance. We have been listening to two different areas, construction sector and the transport sector. Both demand more and more. Different glasses, different design. They didn't mention on the coatings very much, but they keep changing their ideas on coatings, reflection, transmission, etc., etc. I'm coming from a glass group, Sisecam. I am the Chief Technology Officer of Sisecam. Over the years, we are trying to meet with those demands of construction and the transport sector. Today, I'll try to make a little review of what's happening in the glass sector, specifically for the flat glass sector. This is my disclaimer. Please do not take all the data too seriously. These are the collections of the data available. I'll have 5 different sections to give you a little idea, but most of them contains lots of figures. First, I apologize from you to bore you after this hour with so many figures. When you look at the world, there are now 448 float lines all over the world. This is the figure for 2018. And from that 448 floats, the production capacity is around about 76 million tons a year. But when you look at it, actual demand is more than the production capacity. So the flat glass sector needs to grow faster to meet the demand. But it's not just the really volume. You heard what the construction sector wants, what the automotive sector wants from glass and glass specifications. When you look at the distribution of this production, as you can see, most of them now in Asia Pacific, mostly in China. When you look at what's happening all over the world last 13, 15 years, in North America, it's going down, actual production capacity. The float line in 2018 was 38 in North America. As you can see, the other figures, South America is 15, Middle East, etc. But when you look at China, there are 216 float lines operating at China currently. When you look back in 1922, there was 150 float lines globally. And China has only 25 float lines. After 25 years, the actual number is now bigger than 430. But when you look at that, China has 210, even now 16. This is a situation. The actual production capacity moved from west to east. China is dominating glass production. Oops, sorry. When you look at who are the champions, there are 2 measures. You can measure the actual production capacity. You can measure by the turnovers. When you look at the Asahi, is #1 in actual value creation with their turnovers. But when you look at the actual production capacity, it looks that the Saint-Gobain is the #1 in the world. The others you can see in here. And you can look at that first big ones, And out of that 76 million tons of year production, 40% global production capacity produced by first 10. If you go to Europe and see what's happening in Europe, there are 13 million tons a year production in Europe. And in Western Europe, there are 39 float lines. In Eastern Europe, there are 21. And when you look at those companies, bigger ones, Saint-Gobain and Sisecam is very close to each other, but we are a couple of 10,000 bigger than them in the last figures. So we can say we are the #1 flat glass producers of Europe. When you go to China, there's a big one. There are 37 million tons of production. This is the first 10 of China. What we do with these glasses? In the construction industry, takes 82% of all produced flat glass. 40% goes for new buildings, 20% goes for new building interior, and 40% goes refurbishment. In automotive sector, 11%. That is 80% of that 11 goes for OEMs, then 20% for replacement. Other applications, okay, they are very important. They are very value-added applications, but they take only 7% of flat glass capacity. When we look at where is it going to go next 5 years, as you can see, the growth in different parts of the world is quite different. For instance, if you go to North America, you're talking about 3.5 to 4% growth. But if you go to east, to China, as you can see, China is expected to grow 7% in flat glass demand. When you say in some region, you can see the large growth, but actual amount is that not big. In China, it goes from 37 million tons a year to 48 million tons a year. Significant growth in China for the flat glass production. If you summarize, today demand is 82 million tons a year, but when you go to 2022, something like 5 years from today, or 4 years left anyway, it's 112 million tons a year. And the growth, as you can see, is happening again in architectural sector. Our architects making those iconic buildings with different kind of facade, different kind of sections, but demand is growing in that region. In automotive sectors, going from 9 to 13, the others is 6 to 8. Actually, value-added part of it, when you look at the market, as you can see, market will go from $90 billion to $130 billion in 2012. These are the figures of cumulative annual growth rates. Now, we are going to coat the glass to make it more valuable, value-added processes on glass. Of course, in the architectural sector, demand is either you have some coatings which is passive with some selective surfaces, or which is active. You can change by applying some voltages to properties of the glass. I will be mostly talking on those. There are other applications in electrics, electronics, display, energy, aerospace, etc. But this is another area. Now, when we have that more than 80 million tons of demand, 63% goes for annealed, toughened, and laminated glass. Only 10% goes safety, security, etc. And 27% goes for coatings. Out of that 27%, as you can see, 88% of that goes to construction industry, and only 5% goes for transport. Solar is taking little shape, and others is only 3%. As you can see, almost 90% of coated glass goes for construction industry. Who are the big players in coating glass? As you can see, Saint-Gobain, AGC, Guardian, NSG are leading. And when we look at that, after that, Central Glass, Taiwan Glass, and Sisecam Tracker Glass comes there. So we are in the league, but we are not really climbing up yet, but we will. Others take 61%. When you look at geographically, actually demand for coating glass won't change that much in different parts of the world. It's growing in the similar rates. And what are the technologies to be used in coating the glass? As you can see, major ones is magnetron sputtering, pyrolytic coating, sol gel, and others. But with 60%, magnetron sputtering is taking the lead in coating field. Again, when you look at next 5 years, that pattern is not going to change very much. Magnetron sputtering would be leading the coating industry next 5 years. When we look at the architectural glass and glazing industry, of course, it's defined by change in the construction industry. Again, when you look at the architectural coated glass, today demand is 18 million in the sector, divided by 10 million tons a year in the residential, 8 in the commercial buildings. It's going to change significantly in the next 5 years, for instance, from 18 to 24. And the coated side of that is again, demand in million tons is 24 altogether and shared quite equally between residential and commercial buildings. And it's expected to grow 19 to 13 by 2021. Okay, where are they, those producers? As you can see, as I showed earlier, AGC, Saint-Gobain, NSG, Guardian, Sisecam, Cardinal, Fuayo are playing the major role in the coating industry. Where are they located? In North America, Guardian is dominating. And in addition, Cardinal is coming in the scene. In Latin America, South America, Saint-Gobain and NSG are the dominating countries, companies. When you come to Europe, as you can see, in Europe, actually, fight is quite hard. Competition is intense. Everybody is trying to produce and improve and increase their production sites. In India, Saint-Gobain is the leading producers. When you go towards north, Russia, AGC dominates the situation. And in the south, China is another story, of course. Zinxley and Fuayo are the major one. There are numerous producers in China. Taiwan, Glass and AGC is around Korea. Of course, to be able to sell coated or uncoated glass to construction industry, you have to look at the construction industry growth. For instance, in USA, annual growth is only 2%. Currently, in Turkey, 6%, in Russia, 4%, Brazil, 0.5%, China, 4%, Indonesia, 8%, India, 6%. But those percentages is very much depends on what is the reality, what's the numbers. The China is again dominating the sector. If you go to automotive side, in 2018, the figure says 96 million cars are produced, 96 million pieces. And in 2025, it will be 113 million cars on the road, or produced, yearly. But recently, there are some fluctuation in the production. There are some shrinkage in the production. In USA, 2.2, Canada, 3.6, and no change in Western Europe. Russia, there was a big drop in Russia in car production, and China is 14, minus 14, of course. These are the two figures I put together. Where are they in 2018, and what is going to be in 2025? As you can see, major production side again in Asia Pacific, with the numbers of 58 today or 68 in 2025. In summary, in the automotive market, seems that 2.5% growth between 2019 and 2025 in three other countries, which is North America, Canada, Mexico, in Europe and Japan. They are not growing as much as 2.4. But in the production in Brazil, Russia, India, and China will grow by at least 2.4%. The growth is mostly driven by China and India again. Canada, Mexico, and the United States expected to recover by 2025. Okay, when we have got the trends in the auto glass industry, there are lots of need listed in here, but major messages: auto glass becoming lighter, greener, more flexible, durable, resilient, and smarter. As Tesla is asking for a glass covering everywhere, with all the mechanical properties there, with all the optical properties there. And this is a challenge for the glass sector to supply automotive glass demand. Global auto glass industry says that today there are 500 million square meter produced in 2017. It's going to be 574 million square meter by 2023. Again, when you see that, where are they? As you can see, that's mostly North America, Japan, and Europe. And again, slight drop in North America, Japan, and Europe side. And the big growth is about BRIC countries. You can see there's some chosen regions. For instance, in Europe, it's expected 1.1% growth. In Russia, that's a quite significant conflict. Although automotive production is not growing, the automotive glass production is growing. That means the Russians are not producing cars, but changing their old cars, automotive glasses. India, 7.7%, and in Turkey, we've got 0.5% reduction in auto glass production. And when you look at the global auto glass market, this is OEM plus replacement. 2017 figure is 14.6 billion USD, and 2024, 25 billion USD. And again, major place is listed in here. As you can see, out of that 14.6 billion USD, 11 billion shared between AGC, NSG, FOIO, and Saint-Gobain. This is the summary of how auto glass industry will be growing all over the world. This is the projection for the future up to 2025. Europe is 1.7%, North America is 1.4%, Russia, as you can see, 7.6%, as I stated before. This is who are the producers and how it's going to grow. Okay, European auto glass market, to complete the picture, 4.2 billion USD. Again, major players listed below. Again, the last point, multifunctional smart coatings. This concept is quite vague for most of us. When you say multifunctional smart, what do I understand what really definition is fitting the demand of automotive sector, architectural sector. It's quite an area. It could be multifunctional thin film devices and sensors. Could be a single layer coating. Can we call it smart? Multi-layer coating, or surface patterning treatments, sensor embedded surfaces. Now, although there are some confusion, we can really treat all of them as smart. When you look at the smart glass sector, today it is assumed that above $4 billion US dollar market. As you can see, how much of them is architecture, transportation, power generation, or consumer electronics. Again, in this sector, it seems that transportation is dominating the smart glass sector. And it's expected by 2022 that 4 billion will be doubled. Of course, either architectural area or the automotive sector, you've got light and energy control, self-dimming, color changing, privacy, all them together, self-cleaning, self-healing, antibacterial, anti-dust, hydrophilic, hydrophobic, enhanced mechanical properties, photovoltaic, etc. These are the demand and growing. And the technologies for low-E, solar low-E coatings, there are pyrolytic, CVD low-E, single silver, double silver, triple silver. For passive thin films, thermochromic, photochromic. For active thin films, we've got SPD, suspended particle, electrochromic thin film devices, liquid crystals, nanocrystal, microblinds. Probably we'll be seeing some of the examples today, but these are now commercially available. You can buy them, you can use them, but they're expensive. And when you look at that, how they are going to grow, it looks that currently suspended particles are dominating the market, and for the future, near future, it will be the same. Suspended particles will be dominating. For the cars, for instance, when you look at today, I don't have the today's figure, but 2016, sunroofs were the major applications. And it looks that sunroofs will be the major application for the near future for automotive applications. If I have 5 more minutes, I'll try to say a couple of words on our company, Sisecam. Sisecam was established in 1935, but between 1935 and 1960, it was a single plant stage at Paşabahçe, only producing glassware and containers. Then between 1960 and 1990, there was an expansion of product range and start of art technologies and R&D projects. And between 1990 and 2000, there was overseas investment, global standard, and increased capacity. After 2000s, Sisecam was a leader in the region and increasing the market share regionally. And there was a global vision. That global vision in 2014 was to be among the top 3 producers globally. Where we are today, we are producing 13 different countries. Only last week, we start operating or start investing in USA. We will be producing soda ash in USA within a couple of years. It's a big investment. It was $2 billion investment in USA. It was a joint venture with someone. The other 13 countries listed in here, Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Bosnia, Italy, Romania, Egypt, Germany, Hungary, Slovakia, India. In Turkey, we've got different locations, different campuses, producing quite a large spectrum of glass for architecture and automotives. This is the story of Sisecam flat glass. Flat glass operate in 10 countries, with 13 float line. Now it's going to be 14. And you can see we are supplying like Ford, Renault, Toyota, VW, BMW, Hyundai, Honda, and among others. We employ almost 22,000 people across the world. That's how it's growing since 2014. And the glass production reached almost 5 million tons a year last year. This is the ranking in Europe and the world for different sector of our glass production, because Sisecam is vertically integrated glass company. There's few glass company does that. We produce flat glass, glassware, glass packaging, and soda ash. Our turnover was 15.6 billion last year, and our investment, as you can see, is growing every year. Our research center has 27 different labs. We've got a design center under the same roof. Currently, we've got 144 researchers and 18 designers are under the same roof. This is our capabilities in the research center. This is a picture of the research center. We've got a green roof. One thing I like to advertise in here, in November 21st and 22nd, we have the glass conference in Istanbul. As there's no fee involved, Sisecam is sponsoring the activity. And before the activity, there'll be expert training session. We all welcome you in Turkey, in Istanbul in November. I hope you'll come. Thank you very much for listening.